A beautiful woman approached him, expressing her fear and asking consolation. But our protagonist, who is my type of guy, has a thing. It is more important to do in the midst of the apocalypse. What was the most important provision in his previous life? Wasting time looking for supplies. But this time he had to be ready before his boss got furious. Because he was late. 21 seconds to go to work, and cut half the daily salary. Sukan apologized as he entered the warehouse, however. Our protagonist didn't care in his previous life when the apocalypse came. His boss ran away first and his salary was low. A year was lost. So he decided to take these supplies as compensation for himself. He opened his dimensional inventory to store all the supplies. Suddenly, a notification appeared. The system detects rice, meat, cooking oil, and automatically stores it, is his spatial ability. As long as he develops this ability, he can include everything around him into a super large cubic space with dimensions of 10,000 meters long, wide and high, according to his wishes. Great convenience to obtain, and without cost relying on this ability, he drained 2 freshwater lakes and, looting several cities that were destined to be destroyed in the apocalypse in an age like this. Even instant noodle football was a thing. It's a luxury, especially when food is fresh and in storage. The time frame stops, the food stays fresh no matter how much, stored for a long time. He began to cry with emotion at the thought that finally he would not have to eat dirt in the midst of the apocalypse, just like he did in his previous life. After gaining peace, he opened his inventory to check the supplies he had gathered. This time, after collecting so many resources, he could finally breathe a sigh of relief. But the peace didn't last long because other people arrived at the warehouse. Move the goods, but are surprised to find the warehouse empty. They ask Suan about where all the supplies were. Suan, without thinking, replied that he took it all. The manager looked confused and wondering how Suan could do it. But catching Suan wasn't his main priority, so he ordered to capture it while it opened a dimensional door and steps in, taunting his manager. By saying that he won't be late again, everyone is shocked and confused about disappearing in buildings using the abilities of both space jump. With this power, he can teleport a range of 3 mi. This ability is in the time of the apocalypse, it is possible for buildings to be abandoned, and in time. Facing the mutant beast announced that the mission was complete, and the free shopping was successful. Preparing to face the apocalypse with newly acquired resources, suddenly his phone rang. The notification states that the Earth is experiencing intense geological movements and local natural disasters. Most likely will happen, but it can still be overcome and should not interfere with life. Every day the message asks people not to panic too much, but Suan knows that the official statement, it was just to prevent panic, but he realized that the end was near. Her phone rang again, this time showing her boyfriend Jungkook, who had betrayed her in the world apocalyptic before. Even though he was angry to see Heron tried to calm himself down and answer the phone he was accused of, disappeared and sold their house without her knowledge. She was angry and questioned his decision to sell. House, he also questions his responsibilities as a man, even though he claims he doesn't care about the house. She remains adamant that giving him a home as a gift is the only way she can feel safe with him. Suan, however, remains unfazed by his demands. He asks if anyone wants him. Say it again. Hearing this, Jung Shokian was very angry and shouted at Suan. Hey, said he would give him a chance if he transferred the ownership of his house to Shokian, and if not. Shokian won't marry him, but Suan doesn't care. He says he's on his way back to Shanghai, and they will talk when he comes back. He was really angry in the previous life they had. Spending 5 years in the middle of the apocalypse, he's been looking everywhere to get supplies so he can eat, and even took him to a safe zone. If it wasn't for him, he would have starved to death during the apocalypse, but he betrayed him and killed him. Not only that, he slept with other people in front of him, blaming him, saying his death was because he was incompetent. He felt that he had suffered a great loss in his previous life. Actually, he entrusted his life to such a person, but this time neither Wang Haiyu nor Jiang Shokian will pay the price he has already. Decided he wouldn't kill them so easily. He wanted them to feel the pain he experienced 100, even 1,000 times more. But he calmed himself, thinking about the future. He couldn't steal everything. The remaining remains could only be bought with money, but first he had to find a way to get money. So, he called manager Liu, accepted his offer to sell his house for half price. He only wanted cash. And he wants to now also sometime later in front of dream real estate boyfriend Suen Zhang Shaoqian and Wang Haoyu was waiting for him when Suen got out of the taxi. Zhang Shuqian said he had waited long enough, but Suen didn't. Cared and told him to step aside, but Wang Haoyu interrupted Suen, demanding who allowed him to sell the house, said, "How dare he sell his house?" Wang Haoyu tries to threaten Suen by making sure he can't see her. Tomorrow's sun, however, didn't care. He caught Wang Haoyu by the neck and lifted her into the air then. Throwing him to the ground violently, he warned Wang Gu that he was free to mind his affairs as he pleased not to. Asked Padayan what he was doing and begged him to let his brother go as he started screaming for help. Please, however, doesn't care and slaps him, making Zhang surprised her. How could he do something like that? W beg for mercy, asked Suen. To let him go, Suen, seeing him in such a state, started to smile and said, "Don't." Worried that you wouldn't die too quickly, he then let go and entered the building after that. Zhang Yan checked Wang Hao and demands Suen to kneel and apologize quickly, otherwise he can forget about. Marry him for life. When Suen turned towards them, they got scared and started running to threaten Suen, that they will avenge what he did to them, but in Suen's eyes they are just worthless inside. The Dream Building real estate manager told Suen that he would buy her house and pay her in cash. The manager was the best deal, a house worth over 1 million rand, and this fool sold it. For only 700,000 he can make a profit from it. Suen agrees, but on condition that the manager must. Paid in full today, the manager agreed and advised them to sign the contract and transfer. Money immediately with transfer of ownership completed the following Monday. Agree to know that in the midst of the apocalypse, you can choose any house you like as long as you dare to live in it after receiving the payment. He left Dream Real Estate despite the various happenings in life in Sangdu, which is located in the Central Plains. The interior is still in order because of its distance from the tsunami, earthquake, and volcanic eruption. Officials are trying to calm it down. Chaosiba, Himatikluk Pijan, berating, called that number to. Asked if this was a loan company and if he could mortgage his property with. Yep. Property certificate, they agreed, and asked him to come to Hanhai International. Then Suen arrived at money lending company to get a quick loan, but the value of Suen's house doesn't seem to be very high. Many Suen then asked how much he could borrow, but after seeing the representative, Suen remembered that this man was Wang Dahai, Wang Hao's older brother, who had died in the mouth of a mutant beast in his previous life. Wang Dahai stated that he could buy the house for at most 0 rands. But he needs to deposit his property first, but doesn't want to make an extra 100,000. The Sega. He assured Wang Da that he did not need to worry because he would benefit from the deal. This, and pay it back immediately after hearing this money. I wonder if he is a gambler. As long as he is involved, he is willing. Doing anything to gain profit, even selling his own parents, he considers whether Suen, stupid to think, can turn things around in one day. Wang Haoyu replied that as long as he pawned the certificate, that his property was with the company, everything else could be negotiated. He then transferred 600,000 yuan to Suen's account. Meanwhile, outside the building, Zhang Zoqian justifies his actions, saying that he only took back his house himself and questioned what's wrong with that. He was angry because Suen had hit him, and Bersi was harsh that Suen must pay the price. Wang Haoyu also expressed his desire to kill Suen and said he would ask. His brother did it, suddenly saw Suen. Zhang Suqian, pointing it to Wang Haoyu, asked if that was him. Wang Haoyu confirmed that it was true and expressed curiosity about what Su Chen was up to. There, Zhang Shoqian suggested they follow him to see what he's been up to lately. Then En arrived at the Green City Hotel. In his memory, there were many commercial buildings, which collapsed due to the impact of the returning seawater and rapid freezing, resulting in severe cold. Managed to survive various natural disasters until finally he heard that the president's suit was well equipped and even had a pool. Swimming, and thought it might be a good idea to make this a base for staying here long term. Will Burr. Although many warehouses already have previous restraints hanging. Ba, a beautiful woman, approached him, introducing him as the restaurant manager. Hotel Wien and asked how he could help him, answering that he wanted to. Booked 1,000 tables for a party and asked if they could accommodate it. Manor was shocked after. Hearing such a large order amount, still managed to calm his expression and confirm that he was happy. Explained that it is 5,000 per jack per table and not 0.000 to 100.000 per table, and asked Suin, which Suin chose the option he wanted to order. Out of curiosity and impressed by his majestic attitude, he wondered whether this young man was actually a rich man. The hidden second generation answered, "Just let it be our 1,000 per table, the total would be our million him." Agreed to pay a deposit of 100,000 and requested that delivery be made to the address he provided. With the remaining payment being completed a week later, but he wondered if the hotel was a scam. Met such high standards, manager Liu became nervous after hearing about the 500,000 Indonesian rupiah deposit due to fees. The food ingredients alone were estimated at 500,000 Indonesian rupiah, but he knew that establishing a relationship with a rich client was very expensive. The most important thing in business is learning to adapt what you think so. He agreed and asked Suin to make the payment there, after which manager Liu asked how he should. Calling him Suin, replied that he could call him by his name. Curious manager Liu asked if he is getting married. Suin confirms that it is for his wedding and also asks for his help in ordering a suit. The president, after completing his duties, he left the hotel feeling happy to have arranged an order worth 10 million for just a R00,000 deposit and final payout in a hot post-apocalyptic world, a piece of ice can. Worth billions inside the hotel, managers speculated whether this was the booking. For her honeymoon, Siyun thinks that this guy is really lucky. Jang Shuqian and Wang Hayu, who were listening from behind the door, approached manager Liu and asked about the new person. Just there, when manager Liu asked who they were, Jang Gokian explained that he was Suen's girlfriend. Liu's manager revealed that his girlfriend had booked a banquet for 1,000 tables and paid a deposit of 500,000 rand, while commented that having a boyfriend like Suin, he was really lucky, was surprised to see that manager Liu thought. Although it can't just be said that the standard manager thinks he is much better than why rich people always do. Like this type, he thought. Hearing this, don't, and Wang Hayu was surprised. Questioned whether N really had the money for manager Li's R-million party. Explains that rich people often like to hide their identity, worried that their partner will only want the money, and usually only reveal it on the day of the wedding, and then before getting married you can. Suddenly acting withdrawn and cold, Wang Hawu was shocked to think that the sycophant was Suin, whether he was really rich. Manager Liu admitted remembering the R500,000 transaction later outside Wang's hotel. Haoyu asked Zhang Zoqian about the guest list for the 1IB table party at the L-Star Hotel. Zhang Zoqian laughed, said he didn't understand. Of course, Suchin wanted to introduce him to their circle of rich people, and only then revealed it. His identity. Wang Haoyu approached Jiang Xiaoqian and asked what to do. They do now. He explains that they need to take the initiative and create opportunities too. This sycophant, he started to feel very happy, thinking that he never imagined a scenario like this in his life. Turns out to have to happen with that sycophant Suin in the meantime. Suin, at home thinking about his finances, sold the house for 100,000 rand, took out a high-interest loan of 100,000 rand, and spend on parties, but during shopping without expenses, many important items are not obtained though. Only the down payment paid. The remaining 0,000 wasn't much for him, but he had an idea. Good at that time, if he didn't take online loan, it would be in vain, so next Suin downloaded more than 80 application while taking selfies 30 times, and Suin managed to secure a loan of 70,000 rand yan after that. He felt very tired, but he didn't have time to waste time. There were still many things he had to buy, so he take the cell phone and start looking for a fireplace that doesn't work for a smokeless coal and ice block ice machine. Bought in supermarkets, but luckily can be bought online with fast delivery after extreme heat and cold. What's worse? Whether he can get through all that or not depends on whether he has enough of these resources. He also contacted the coal company to ask about the current price of smokeless coal. They said the price Smokeless coal costs 2,500 yuan per ton. Suen 2,500 yuan per ton. Suen explains that he needs 2,000 tons of smokeless coal. Acceptable to him, he will pay a deposit of 500,000 yuan first, and the rest will be paid after the goods. Received after that, he called the ice factory to order blocks of ice, but they wanted to discuss the details in detail. Suen immediately agreed and said he would meet in person a few moments later when Suen headed to the ice factory. Unexpectedly met Lina and Zhang Shuqian. Lina asked Suen where he had been all this time, mentioning that Shokian misses him after seeing Lin and remembers that he was the one who always criticized his close friend in behind and let Django Khan occupy his house. En asked him why he missed him, or was it because? When her house heard this, Lina became very nervous and said that she was just testing her before. Why was she like that? Stupidly, he explained that he was really sad and missed him. He was close and interested. Holding her hand, asked if he could accompany her for a walk because he didn't feel okay with her. Apologized for scolding him yesterday and asked him not to be angry with him, but Suen didn't care. At him, he let go of her hand and started to leave. He said that he had something to do today and suggested Shokian. For a walk alone, Shokian was surprised and wondered what was wrong with him and why he acted. Arrogant then, he saw Suen getting into a taxi and was determined to quickly follow him, thinking this must be a test. Last time for him, a few moments later, Suen arrived at the Songhua factory where he met with manager Boss Wu. Boss Wu was surprised to see Suen, who was still young. Suen told Boss Wu the details. It had been discussed over the phone, but he was curious about how long it would take to produce 2,000 tons of ice. Boss Wu explained that their ice factory didn't boast anything else, but in terms of efficiency, they definitely were. Best he asked Suen to give them 3 days to finish 2,000 tons of ice cream at a price of 400 yuan. Per ton, the total is 800,000. Yan Suen agrees and says he will transfer 100,000 yuan as down payment and asked them to send it to the address he gave within 3 days. Pak Wu assured him that they would send it safely. Curious, Mr. Wu asked Suen why he needed it. As that much, and are there any major events suggesting that they could work together again in the future? And the price can be negotiated. He replied that he planned to donate it to the cause. Amal Paku was confused to hear this, but was happy because the 800,000 yuan deal was completed at the entrance. Suddenly, another car stopped in front of my factory. It was Lina Danianian who told and asked. To nail that, it was his fiancé, and what they were talking about just now. Nail. Confused as to why her fiancé is here and what is this detective game, she doesn't really care, and explains that. I just ordered ice worth 100 wen from them. The two women were shocked. Confirmed that he was the son of a super-rich second-generation conglomerate. Lina asked Mr. Wu. Allah didn't tell him what he was going to do with all that much ice. Mr. Wu replied that he said he donated it to Alan for charity after hearing this Lina Andokan. Really confused and wondering what Sarah meant. After buying all the goods, I wanted to enjoy the food, which was really delicious before the end of his life. Previously, he was too busy working, let alone going to fancy restaurants. Even going to a small cafe felt like luxury, so he opened the menu and started reading the snow crab. Roasted duck tongue with golden sauce is truly a high-end restaurant with an average spend of 4 figures, however. Suddenly, he saw something strange on the menu and wondered, what does it mean to sell a question mark for 17,000 yuan? The waiter standing nearby explained that this was a dish specially created by the head chef. Their Yalin music restaurant Suen became really interested in this dish when he heard that detail. The specifics depend on the chef's inspiration. He asked the maid to prepare it in his previous life at the beginning of the apocalypse. There is a strange power that causes many creatures to mutate the giant snakes mentioned in the Suna Jing. Fantastic creatures from the mountains and seas that appeared amidst the flood were similar to the mutated snakes he had encountered in previous life, but he preferred to call it atavism, a phenomenon in which nature, genetic ancestors reappear after being lost due to sudden evolutionary changes in previous generations. A beautiful woman appeared in front of Suen. She was the head chef of Yalin music restaurant, Duanya, who was known as the Devil Chef. This dish was made especially for Suen based on her temperament. surprised to see her. Suan recognized her from the apocalypse. In her previous life, where she had magical cooking skills that could turn rot into rotten. A talent food that no one has, but the food is made from a mutation source in an alien creature, and whoever eats it will definitely die. Duan saw Susan's expression and asked what was wrong with her expression. Was she afraid? A girl as beautiful as that would poison his food. He explained that food has what is called two sides of life. One side of tuna fried in chocolate butter, and the other side fried in pastry, gives two. Different flavors that make a deep impression after actually tasting the dish. Impressed that it tasted really good, and the 17,000 yuan he paid felt worth it, but he thought if only he could cook for her in the end times, but then he dismissed that thought. Wondering if he might have poisoned the food in the meantime, and Lena in secret. Observer Lena told Keen that she heard that every meal at this restaurant costs more than 1,000 rupiah, her husband's child's pass. Kadu's generation is rich. She is a rich wife. She hopes not to forget the same. His sister was almost bitten to death by a mosquito because she accompanied him. Shan answered confidently that she didn't have to worry, that she would definitely be a rich wife and treat herself well when she was done. Dinner went to the Golden Nest Bar in Sangdu. He remembered how there was a child, rich people who spend 2 million here and don't even know what abalone looks like. But in the end, times don't. There would be such a luxurious place, he regretted not entering such a place in life. Previously, a girl suddenly asked Suan why he didn't drink. And was there a problem? Suan said. No, and started drinking, but he saw the girl sitting beside him, looking very sad, and asked what. It happened that the girl explained that her name was Yun, and this was her first time here. Her boyfriend cheated on her. So her friends take her out to have fun. Yun explains that her boyfriend is cheating on her with an older woman and commented on the incompatibility of her tastes. Then she asked Suan, what? All men only care about sleeping with women. Suan answered that the nature of a true man is driven by desire. Reproduction after hearing this? Yun downs her drink in one gulp and asks Suan if she's still single. She moved closer to him teasingly and asked if he wanted to have some fun Yun friends. Encouraging her, telling her that's the path Yun should take. They think her boyfriend isn't even worth it. For him, Lena and Shokian follow Suan deeper into the district, but they shocked to see Suan with another girl, wondering if he is cheating. Suan suggests to Yun to get out, and holding her hand, takes her up. The Shokian calls Suan to stop, but it's too late. Suan took Yun to the room and locked the door. Suan apologized for the disturbance caused by the two of them. Not really listening, says this is the first time. Yeah, he's doing it and trying to. In charge pats Yun's forehead and asks if he is drunk. He also advises him not to go out these days, and bought food at home and mentioned that people with love brains should not come to a place like this in the future. Forget there is no future, he mused. But Suan, knowing it's rare to get an opportunity like that, leaving like this feels like a waste. But with the presence of two, the woman's chances for that night were lost the next day when the goods she ordered arrived at the delivery person. Item asked Suan where these 20 large fireplaces should be placed. Others asked him about the lack of refrigerated space in the warehouse, expressed concern that the ice would melt. Suchen direct them to move the fireplace and ice maker to the deepest part of the warehouse and instructed the workers to didn't block the entrance when people started to gather around his warehouse. Suddenly Wang Haoyu went to Shokian and told him Suan rented a big warehouse on the outskirts of town and bought a lot of big machines. Now it's being moved to the warehouse, but Xian is really confused and doesn't know what he actually wants to do. Suan, meanwhile, Lena noticed something and pointed to Zokian. Look at this. Isn't this a party set up from the Green City Hotel? Even the red carpet has also been installed. He thinks Suan wants it. Suddenly proposed to Xiaoqian, and guests will come from all directions after seeing this. And said that even if Suan proposed, maybe he wouldn't accept. He asked Lena to accompany him to see. How serious was Suan when they approached Suan Shokia, asking why he bought so many things? What's going on? Actually, Suin answered that if Shokian could help him move these things, he would tell him when he was finished. Hearing this, Shokian thought she wanted to be a rich woman. She didn't want to do manual labor like this. Lena approached and said, "This must be a test for her to see if she deserves to be a rich woman." After that, Shokian agrees to help Su Chen. Said she was not the type of woman who was weak. To become a rich woman, she had to be versatile as long as she could pass this test. Susen will definitely marry him today. Lena also wants to help Susen think of the rich and greedy second generation as long as she does. Showing a little of her charm even though she can't be a rich man's wife. She hopes that at least she can feel a little. Really happy Suin prophets don't want to waste this free energy. With 1,000 tables of food and 2,000 tons of ice, even though hotels and suppliers send people, it still takes a long time to move. All the items after moving things from morning to evening. Finally finished, really tired after working all day. Xiaoqian complains that Suin is really too much. They have been moving things from morning to night without eating him. Lena thought that if she became a rich girl, all the money would go to her. Lena also complained that she was such a fool that she made them. Lifting heavy objects, the ice cubes weighing more than 100 pounds each, but Shokian was confused. Really, and was wondering if the exam was over. He thought he should have announced that it was. "The bride and groom, now the rich guests must have arrived," said Lena, agreeing, confused. The food was already cold and the guests don't seem to care about rich people. It's really strange to say thank you to all the delivery people who... I had worked hard that day and asked them to accept a small token of thanks. He promised to finish the rest. Payment within a week. According to the contract, the delivery people were shocked by the thickness of the red envelope, at least our Zars. They were really happy and said, "Thank you, Sanctity, for everything." Meanwhile, Shokian approached Suin Dan. Asked if he had anything else to say after hearing Suin say, "Thank you for helping." Work but said there was no payment for him, so he asked Shokian to go listen to this. Shokian urged Suin to stop joking. There will definitely be a surprise and the guests will definitely have arrived. He will ask Suin to marry you and live happily. Suin answered that he also wanted to live happily, but now it's not just the house that has been sold. He also has a lot of debt. I asked Kayan if he still wanted to be with me. I was shocked and said it wasn't possible with more than 10 million. For this party, tens of thousands in restaurant costs and all this, how can he? Bankrupt explained that there was a big boss who wanted to do good, so he helped them to bring people to the project. Poverty alleviation is the reason hearing this is angry and attacking, accusing him. I lied to him from a tapazar and asked him. Bo is lying on the floor and is still very angry, replying that he is not a second-generation rich person. He told to. Just forget about the intention of marrying her, but Suin doesn't care about material girls like him. Shokian, who hear this. So getting angry, stands up and before leaving, warns Suin that he will make Lena regret it too. Warns that he will make Suin regret it, but in Suin's eyes, they are a bunch of fools at the moment. In the end, they will regret it. Suin then went into the warehouse and locked the door from the inside, he felt. Relieved because finally all the supplies and resources were ready. Now he just needed to wait for the apocalypse to come to him. Opened his infinite storage and stored all supplies into the dimensional storage for a moment. Then at the Green Own Wine Hotel, the person who gave Suin a high-interest loan asked Xiaoqian to follow. Wang Haoyu in the future and promised a good life in the sand, he emphasized that his words still have weight. Wang Haoyu tells Shokian that Su did it well and should have done it. He broke up with her a long time ago and it's best to be together with him. He and Penilan Wangu Wangyek B. He was worried because he was going to lose his brother Danayandum, who was skinny. What's really good is Wang Haoyu and his sister. He was taken aback by the compliment, but suddenly heard a comment from behind him. Commented that this woman is not picky about what she likes and what. He was shocked to see Wangamberu. His brother was a very handsome man. Yangan is already planning to look for him. How dare NYWA's his brother? Does he know Mr. Ha? Explained that he had mortgaged his house to her and borrowed 600,000 yuan, with tomorrow being the due date. Wang Haoyu enthusiastically said that he would settle the old grudge and then suddenly told Lena that he was even. Dare to borrow money from Ha's sister? She's afraid she won't be able to pay her debt for the rest of her life. Isn't she grateful? Lena was involved and agreed to say that she borrowed money like that, but she didn't know. This one said he couldn't enjoy his meal in peace, but Pak Hai approached Suan and said he had to. Pay the debt tomorrow, whatever it takes. While he was having fun in the hotel, he asked what he looked like. A joke to him. An angry Wang Haoyu told his brother not to bother, even if he could manage it. 600,000 yuan tonight. Su Tian won't be able to give them anything. And don't waste your time with him, because he already beat up how he thought they should resolve this. But luckily, Manager Liu intervened and asked Mr. Hai, "What's wrong?" This is his suggestion to talk nicely. Mr. Ha agreed to talk nicely according to Manager Liu's suggestion, however. He asked Manager Liu to make Suan kneel and apologize to him and his sister before they could consider this. When finished, Manager Liu approached him and asked what was wrong. He answered calmly, "Just some bullies barking." Mr. Ha got very angry after hearing this and said keen that. He already gave face, but this is too late. He said he will finish this today, and even Punak Sky will... Could be long, but suddenly someone intervened and asked Pak Ha what he was doing and who. Gave him permission to make a fuss there. Mr. Ha Danan was equally surprised to see. This man named Gao Qiang, the hotel manager Pak Ha, was very polite and asked Gao Qiang how he was. Can be there. Gang replies that he has important business today and warns Pak Ha not to. Make DII trouble or don't blame him if he doesn't give face. Sir knows that on the surface, the Gang is a well-known businessman in Sandu, but he also has a wide network in the underworld and many people under his command.
Getting on his bad side isn't a good idea. Sir Ha agrees with Gao Qiang, assuring him that he won't do nothing and offers to come toast later. Seeing Gao Qiang soon, thinking back to the apocalypse previously when Gao Qiang was the main force in Sandu and Helsef was also under his control. Suddenly he remember hearing that after the apocalypse Green City Hotel was the first place to experience reverse mutation. Now it seems like the Going's ability to become a skull crusher is due to the emergence of a reverse mutation here. Thinking about this, Soon is now determined to take the chance. Gaoyang is shocked to see the flash interesting in Soon's eyes. After that he went to Mr. Sun and told him that he had brought Miss Duan Ya as requested. Duan was curious what Mr. Sun wanted to discuss with him. Mr. Sun explained that he had heard about Miss Duan, who was an extraordinary beauty, and was happy to finally meet her straight away. He just wanted to drink with Mr. Sun and offered Duan a drink, but he was shocked and wondering if there was something strange about the drink. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Susan was standing in front of the glass window, grapes in hand, pondering his past life. He has been hiding with Zhang Xiaoqian in a place that run down and barely surviving an apocalypse of extreme heat. He never expected that this time after leave him he will follow him here. Yeah, this is a good opportunity to settle old business with him, he thought. Meanwhile, Wang Haoyu and his brother were having fun in the swimming pool. Suddenly Mr. Hai asked if he felt that the night was hotter than the day. Wang Haoyu agreed, so he suggested it. They go to the swimming pool to cool off, hoping the girls will come out wearing swimsuits. Just thinking about girls, it made them excited for a while. Then the girls also came, but they were really surprised to see how much the moonlight that night was almost like the sun. Thought they were enchanted by its strange brightness because it was Wang Haoyu starts teasing Sukian, saying that his love for her shines as bright as the moon. But he felt hot and hurriedly asked him to take him to the temporary pool. Watching them from inside the hotel while laughing, "Your love is about to explode," he joked. He raised his wine glass and toast, "Welcome back to the doomsday." Suddenly the moonlight became very hot. Everyone was shocked and started running towards the hotel. They were confused and asked why the moonlight was suddenly visible. "It's so hot now, they don't have time to go to the pool, so they ran back to the hotel." The people inside the hotel were also shocked and wondered why they were suddenly outside so brightly. After seeing this, another man asked if brother and the others were okay. The other guy replies, "They're just teasing girls, he won't understand." Everyone's boss Happiness surprised to see the behavior of Wang Haoyu and the others and asked what they were doing. Why did their skin become so red? They felt intense pain, their whole body burned. When Wang Haoyu saw the aquarium full of water, they immediately ran towards it and finally found relief. However, the people of Wang Dahai were very confused, wondering what they were doing. One of them asked to Wang Heiyu, where is his big brother Hai? Surprised by this question, Wang Heiyu realized that he didn't know where he was. His sister was. Suddenly they heard a voice asking for help. It was Wang Dahai and his whole body burned. People. Wang Dahai asked if he was okay and took burnt cream to help him. Resting, Wang Heiyu apologized to his sister, promised not to leave her again. Meanwhile on the other hand, Mr. Sun asks Nan Duan why he doesn't drink Gaoqiang, telling Mr. Sun that he has prepared a banquet and suggested they go there. However, and there are those who think that he said Min Ang Yu and her ik. Su is so cute. He's sad and he knows he's there, but he was confused about what to do before he could decide. The moonlight became very bright, causing Mr. Sun and Gaoqiang felt excruciating pain. They didn't know what was happening. They asked Miss Duan to immediately close the curtains because it is very hot outside. Gaoqiang notes that something is strange and Poxin agrees, suggested they go down to see what was going on. After seeing this, Miss Duan heaved a sigh of relief. At under manager Lu tried to calm everyone down, explaining that they had contacted the rescue team and asked everyone to wait here to be saved, but the people didn't listen to him, said they had millions at stake every minute and couldn't waste time here. Asking questions to Maowa what happened, Maowa explained that the moon had suddenly become very bright and the temperature outside had gone up. It rose to about 70 degrees and the news reported nearly 100 people were injured. Matuanyakia Kelkana at the Prince City Hotel and asked if he could send someone to pick him up. Gao Qiang asked Mr. Sun about Mr. Zhao's news. Mr. Sun explained that now Mr. Zhao was trying to make sure there wasn't any electricity problem. Unfortunately, no one can come. The situation is a bit complicated. Meanwhile, big brother Wang Heiyu feels severe pain. His whole body was burning due to the high temperature and he needed to go to the hospital, but because the weather is so hot now, they're not sure how to get to the hospital. Sister Wang Heiyu says no need. Worried he would ask Xiao Dao to come pick them up, so he called Xiao Dao, who was still in the garage downstairs. Tana Shou Dao told me that it was very hot outside, so he asked them to wait there while he came to pick him up, but he was a bit surprised to see that it was still light outside at night and the temperature was so high. But suddenly his car tire burst. He was shocked, wondering, was this really happening? How hot was it that it exploded? What's this crazy weather? All the tires are doing so. He called Brother Hai to explain that all 4 tires on his car had blown out and he can't pass now. He needs to go back and ask them to find a solution themselves, but when he's stepping out of the shadow of the tree, his shoes stuck to the ground and he fell. There was another man lying on beside him. Shadow was completely shocked, and when he tried to stand up, his skin started to melt like glue. Sir Hai Dan. The others are shocked to hear Shou's screams, wondering what happened to him. Meanwhile, Soon sleeps soundly in his room. Was not affected by the temperature outside. The government announced that due to the sudden release of heat from the moon, outside temperatures have risen to 75 degrees with ground temperatures reaching 100 degrees. This event already resulting in nearly 100 fatalities. They urged everyone to stay indoors and avoid going out to prevent sudden skin and respiratory tract burns due to the extreme heat of the city power center collapses. Meanwhile, Mr. Hai realizes that Shou is no longer there and all the rooms in the hotel are full. This is last room available, so they have to share, but Zokian is not happy with this arrangement. Wonder what kind of joke was this and how could she share a room with a man? And Lena also agreed with him, said they needed separate rooms, but suddenly the electricity also went out. Sir Hi, I'm confused about what actually happened. This place, why there is no electricity? Because of that, Ache is dead and the temperature in the room is rising quickly. Maybe already it's over 40 degrees now and they'll run out of breath if they stay here. They need to quickly find a solution. Shokian suddenly remembered that Soon's presidential suit had a swimming pool, so he suggested it to Mr. Hai to snatch it from him. Meanwhile, Soon was having fun playing in his pool in his previous life. Electricity. The city harbors hidden dangers due to inadequate maintenance. No matter how much manpower deployed, city electricity still explodes, but all users connected to city electricity are affected. That's why he deliberately chose a room with a swimming pool. He also prepared a vertical AC and a large backup battery for it. Ensure the room temperature is maintained and also put a few pieces of ice after changing his clothes. Su Chen sat down on the couch getting some wine and enjoying his life without worrying about the temperature outside. He suddenly felt hungry, so he utilized the available resources and prepared food, thinking that on the first day apocalypse he could have just had a simple breakfast. He wondered when Qiang's opportunity would arise, but Suddenly his food was stopped because someone knocked on the door asking him to open it. When he opened the door, it was cold started to come out of his room. Mr. Hai was really surprised, wondering how Soon's room could be that cold and how the air conditioner can function without electricity. Soon asked if they needed anything from him. Suddenly Wang Hayu realized that there was ice in Soon's room. This room not only had a pool but also electricity and food. Saw this, Lena said to Soon, they all want to burn outside while he is here enjoying the luxury. Shokian agrees with him, accusing Soon of being selfish and demanding that he get out of his room now and tell him that because he borrowed money from him it's time to pay him back. He demands Soon hand over the room to him, considering it as interest for these days, or he would have taken it out. But when Mr. Ha tried to enter Swenon's room, took out a gun from his storage and shot Pak Ha. Confused and shocked, he couldn't. Music, Azitantes, music, mead. After hearing this, other people started complaining, saying they were hoarding bottled water. Now they want some hoarding all the food too. He doesn't give them a chance to survive just because he has money. Doesn't mean he can do as he pleases. If he has money, why not just go? They think water and food, it has to be shared by everyone, so why does it all have to be for everyone? Paksun's order asked if anyone had a problem with it and said they would immediately throw him out right now, but in Mr. Sun's eyes they were just a bunch of useless people. Wang Hayu asked for help from everyone, said Soon had a gun and he was killing Gaoyang people. After hearing, I'm aware of whether it's a gunshot wound. Many people can get weapons. It seems like they have tough characters. Lives upstairs. Wang Hayu asked his older brother Hai if he was okay. Meanwhile, Shokin explained, told everyone that Soon's room had AC, electricity, and even the swimming pool. Everyone asked what Shokian was. Honestly, Shokian made sure he saw it with his own eyes. There were also ice cubes, lots of fried chicken, food and alcohol. It was like heaven there. After hearing this, everyone started heading to Soon's room, complaining that they sweating like he's in a fucking sauna here and he's feeling great. They were furious when they heard Su Chen got ice cubes and AC while they suffer here. Shang urges everyone to invite. They went there and made Soon hand over the ice cubes and AC. Gaoqiang told his men to go up and figure out what to do, say they don't need to be taught. They convinced the Gaang that they know which had to be done. A few moments later, everyone stood in front of Cameron asking to talk to him, but they were really shocked when they felt the cold air coming out of Soon's room. They started to explain that it was an emergency situation in the entire hotel. Only the rooms had AC and they asked permission to come in for a moment. Cool argued that young people should learn to respect their elders and care for their younger ones. Suddenly, one of the children, after seeing the fried chicken, immediately ran towards it and said to eat, but before he could came in Cameron and kicked him hard until he flew to the other side. Looking this, everyone is really surprised to say they have to control their children, otherwise he doesn't mind help organize them. Everyone is very angry. Padan says he is just a child. How can that be? He thought about kicking him. They were calling him a murderer and people like him were not worthy staying in his room. They started running towards Soon to throw him out of his room, saying he was alone while they were many, and they asked everyone to attack, but Soon was very angry and took the gun away his storage and shot one of Gao King's men. Everyone was really shocked to see this kid. Gao Qiang fruit so afraid of Susan. Susan warned everyone. Music. At the end, W cried, person K. Music. Mening N said they knew he didn't have the heart to shoot them, he just threatened Wang Dehai. Shokin asked if he has forgotten how much he loves her and asks Soon to let them in and promises to do it. Whatever he wants is just to calm down for a while and maybe stay the night. After hearing this, it's starting to start. Smiling said that your sister's love is really deep and invited them in. They were really happy. Believes Soon young, kind-hearted, he won't leave them. Wang Haoyu suddenly approaches Soon, told Xian and Lena to move aside because he wanted to kill Soon, but Soon reminded them. They said whoever came through the door this is going to die. After saying that, he took a baseball bat from the storage and attacked Wang Haoyu, who fell on his face. The two women, after seeing this horror scene, both said they did not want to go in and it would be better to go in outside. Soon said they had better go, reminding them that if they didn't go, they might die in the meantime. People saw the rescue team's car arriving. The tires had been modified to be chain tires and the windows were also insulated. Definitely a car. Everyone's rescue team was so excited, thinking they must have come to rescue them and they had been rescued. A soldier got out of the car, asked everyone to step back and gave way. They asked if Professor Lu Zhengo was there. Here one of the men came forward and introduced himself as Professor Lu. The soldier said they were a team rescuers and asked him to quickly put on an isolation suit and go with them, but everyone was very confused, wonder why they only rescue the soldiers. There is DII for save them, as if they were asking UNT to save the soldiers. All swallowing pie. The authorities have launched a rescue operation in night. This is the coldest of the day. When we come to Silent Plazendi, uniters are happy. Music. The authorities haven't completely abandoned them, but suddenly Sir Sun runs towards the soldiers saying he is Sun de Biao from Grupson. He offers 1 billion if they gave him protective clothing and let him go now. The soldier however didn't care. Professor Lu Jungo is a geologist. They played an important role in this disaster and asked Paksan not to obstructing their operations. Paksan was furious and turned to Gok Kiang, calling him useless and non-existent. Fortunately, he ordered him to take the heat-resistant clothes, but Gage didn't move because the soldier was carrying a weapon and any careless action could get him killed. By approaching the soldiers asking for it, them to help, say there is a killer living above. Everyone agrees, stating that the killers have weapons and have killed several people. They absolutely cannot let killers, it's free, they should do something. After hearing this one, the soldier says he will stay, but the other soldiers don't agree with his decision, saying its snail was a special situation and told him not to act impulsively, but he didn't listen out loud if he had wisdom, so he asked the other soldiers to bring protective clothing first and he would contacted them after handling the situation, after which he took a gun and started approaching upstairs, curious to see that Sarah was so excited, thinking after Soon was shot dead she can stay in that room and wait to be rescued. On the other side, soldier Xiaoying has arrived at Soon's room, however he suddenly saw the camera in the pot. At the same time, Soon opened the door to his room and threw a flash grenade in direction, showing it. Soon released tear gas. The situation got out of control. He didn't have any. There was no other choice but to retreat quickly, but before he could retreat, he attacked him from behind and he fainted. A few moments later, when Shang started to regain consciousness, he was confused where he was. It felt very cold here. He was in Soon's room, took his id and started checking it. His name was Liu Shang and he was the deputy, the Special Forces captain. After seeing that Shang was already conscious, Soon asked him to talk, but Xiaoying was very shocked to see the air conditioner and ice cubes in Soon's room, curious who he really is and how he could be. Gets a gun and flash grenades. Soon explains that he just passed all the equipment he got during a trip to the Middle East. Xiaoying didn't believe it and asked if Soon was joking, but Soon wasn't, cares and says if he doesn't believe her he can't do anything. Even so, he was curious and asked Xiaoying whether the government had prepared a rescue point zone for residents tomorrow morning. Song was very surprised, wondering how he knew about it. Soon, after seeing his experience, realized that he indeed knew exactly like in his previous life, even though the temperature dropped drastically. Significantly, in the morning, exposure to moonlight for more than 10 minutes can make many people faint. Died on the road to rescue. Shang explained that there was no other way, even though they had already created a zone. Safely modifying a rescue vehicle is difficult. Many people can't survive anymore, so they don't have one choice but to let War go to his own rescue. Tomorrow morning is actually a thick blanket and a heavy jacket. Can also help isolate the temperature. As long as they don't fall, it can increase the chances of surviving. After hearing, I asked him if he was serious and he answered of course, but he wasn't believing, pointed his gun at Shang. Seeing that, Zhang asked, wait a moment, asked if he could give it to him, told others about the use of thick blankets before he was killed and explained that he would only use Toki without asking Su Chen for help. Then released him and said that he appreciated what Xofeng did, so he won't kill him this time, but he won't tolerate further provocation. Zovong then asks Soon what he wasn't afraid that she would ask for help to meet him. As soon as he left, Soon smilingly asked him look up and see what's there. Zoveng was surprised to see the watchtower equipped with cameras, facial recognition and a machine gun. He asked Susan where he got something like this. Susan answered that he had told me before that he got it from the Middle East. Was this item active or not? There are no survivors in this room except him, but in this situation maybe they don't have time either. In front of Soon Song he said he understood and left. Everyone was really shocked to see the soldier just leave like that. He only mentioned the blanket and didn't say anything about what happened. While all the soldiers' weapons were confiscated, they wondered whether Soon was really so great that even a soldier couldn't. Sarah, Mr. Sun was really frustrated and angry. He slapped her buttocks while asking why she kept him if he did know. Ma said just now. She called them a snitch and Kum knew to eat her, then ordered. They went. One of the gang's men asked how long they had to endure the same thing. He didn't reply that the authorities had started rescue operations and that once things were safe, you could use them. Susen's connection. Ba Susan comments on Gao Qiang's mind, says in the midst of chaos Gao Qiang still dreams of. This restoration of order made Gao Qing's men angry and asked for Sun from. Where did he come from and threatened to kill him. Guang told his men to be patient and ask Sun, why did he come down? Sun answered that he was here to negotiate with Boss Gao, offering ice cubes to Gao Qiang like that. Seeing the ice cubes, Gao Qiang's men went crazy and told his boss that there must be other good things in Susen's room, so he did. He invites his boss to take care of him and take all his things. Yes, a thug is still a thug, but Susan is a thug the biggest here. He point the gun he took from Shillong to Goa King's men make him afraid of Gao Qiang, who, having the same thoughts as his subordinates, also became afraid. After seeing the gun he immediately stopped Sun and agreed to make a deal. At the end of the deal Gao Qiang and his men can enjoy the ice cubes. Purity of love while eating curly fruit. Gao Yang said that he had been trapped here for 3 days and this. It was the first time he felt happy like this. He couldn't even imagine what was in Sun's room. Gong decides to agree to Sun's request first and then look for an opportunity to kill him later. The room will be theirs. Suddenly Mr. Sun kicks Gao Qiang, shouting at them because how dare he hide the ice cubes. He keeps kicking Gao Kong, saying that next time he won't take it out. Good stuff, he will die. This insult made Gaang very angry, but Mr. Sun didn't care, he just ate. The icebox said it was amazing. They also ran out of instant Mia. Without help they would definitely die. While he was hungry, he looked at Duan, who was sitting in the corner. He said that even though it was hot, Duan still wanted to wear clothes, but he forcefully holds Duan's hand, saying he likes playing with people like him and because of him. Again excited now. He invited Duan to join in. Duan hit Mr. Sun while shouting not to touch him. This made Poxin very angry, so he tried to force Duan. Ya said he would do what he wanted here and everyone can taste it later. Duan covers himself and Poxin starts laughing, telling him that he has soaking wet. He asked if Duan didn't feel hot. Gao Qiang got angry and stopped him. Gao Qiang said to Mr. Sun that this was enough, made Mr. Sun very angry. He turned around screaming, told going to shut up. He said he was trying to show respect, but now he feels that Gao Qiang it's too late. But suddenly Gao Qiang stabs Pak's neck with a knife. People started screaming that someone had been killed after killing Mr. Sun Gaang, saying Susan, that's right, this has become a mess. Mr. Sun would also rather die here. He told everyone that now this place is under his command. Other people had to go to the rescue point or die here. Du was very scared to see what happened, but the person who planned all this actually enjoyed the show. Soon was watching from upon seeing that his words were effective. He said because Duan Ya was Boss D. Here in his previous life, if he had sped up this process, maybe his second chance would also come earlier. Meanwhile, Shaolian and Lena pleaded. Gao Qiang Shaoqian asked drink to him and Lena also said she would do anything for him. Gao Qiang first drank ice water, then threw the rest of the water at Sukian and Lena said they wanted ice water. Okay? Follow him, he will tell them to do what he wants and get ice water. The two of them start fighting like children. The little curly-haired boy asked Gao Qiang if they didn't want to go to the rescue point. Guang said, now it's like doomsday. If they want to survive, they have to rely on themselves and that rescue point. 1 kilometer away, it wasn't certain they would make it there alive, and the curly-haired boy asked why they were there still bringing in these troublesome people even though their supplies are running low. He talked about Shokian and Lena. Gao Qiang said it was Sun who planned to take these people in. Coincidentally, they also needed a little stepping stone. In the middle of the night, Shokian and Lena arrived, covering themselves with a blanket. Thick, ready to finally get out of this damn place. Lena says they only got a few snacks during the due. Today, when he arrives at the rescue point, he wants to eat well and drink cola. But before they can, Gao Kang's men came out, pulling Shaoan's blanket. Angry Shaoan asked what he was doing. The curly-haired guy asked Shaoan back. He said Big Brother had given him all ice water and now he wanted it. pull it out. According to him, it's not fair, and he said what he wants to do. So he asked her to hang out with him for a while the people were leaving the hotel went to the rescue center. They were very thirsty. They were angry because Kiang's gawk had taken control of their supplies and they had not been given water or water food. Living in a hotel feels like I'm thirsty and I'm going to die, but going to the rescue point, maybe there's still hope. Little to be safe, they all kept going, but it was hotter outside than they thought. Even with a board tied to the soles of their shoes while walking, a grandmother slipped and fell to the ground. Her skin started to melt like wax and he screamed in pain for help, but no one stopped to help him and keep going. In times like these, with uncertainty about survival, who has the time to worry about others, even if it's family or loved ones? In the midst of the apocalypse, everyone's focus is to survive first. On the other side of the corpses of Paksan and Wang Dahai lying outside and burning below, moonlight suddenly opened her eyes and woke up. Soon saw people heading towards the rescue point. She remembered that in previous life he also went to the rescue point like them, but at that time no one reminded him to bring a blanket, even if it's only 1 kilometer. He doesn't know how many lives are sacrificed on the other side. Right shouted while Guang's men tried to pull his shirt off. Shokian said why didn't he go to the room instead of staying here. Lena said she would also come with him. The curly-haired man laughed and asked, are they starting to get embarrassed now, and what is there to be afraid of here? But suddenly Pax and Wang Dahai, who have turns into a zombie, barges in. Everyone is too shocked to see it and starts running away. Wang Haoyu was very scared, asking if they would turn into zombies. Bitten by the handle grasping his neck, and said why doesn't he try to find out for himself? He put Wang Haoyu in front of the Zompak who was approaching them. Wang Haoyu shouted. The curly-haired man asked the gang if he was okay. Gong replied that Mr. Sun's body temperature was very high, but suddenly the protagonist we appear there, asking everyone to move aside. He holds a sword and confronts these fire zombie henchmen. The curly-haired man was surprised to ask whether Su Chen wanted to deal with those problems. What is there to be afraid of here? But suddenly Pax and Wang Dahai, who have turns into a zombie, barges in. Everyone is too shocked to see it and starts running away. Wang Haoyu was very scared, asking if they would turn into zombies. Bitten by the handle grasping his neck, and said why doesn't he try to find out for himself? He put Wang Haoyu in front of the Zompak who was approaching them. Wang Haoyu shouted. The curly-haired man asked the gang if he was okay. Gong replied that Mr. Sun's body temperature was very high, but suddenly the protagonist we appear there, asking everyone to move aside. He holds a sword and confronts these fire zombie henchmen. The curly-haired man was surprised to ask whether Su Chen wanted to deal with those problems. Seeing this going so happy, said they would let Soon kill them, and after that they would kill Soon. Soon knows that in the apocalypse, corpses exposed to sunlight will mutate, but they are not zombies, and their virus-spreading wolves are more similar to the drought demons described in Shijing, a book about Chinese mythological creatures. So Soon also calls them as drought demons. They start to approach Soon, but Soon knows that this drought demon actually still retains some memories or attachments from life. Previously he wondered if in a previous life it was possible that Gaoyang killed Mr. Sun, who created it. Harbors a desire for revenge against the Gaoqiang and becomes the first drought demon, and Wang Dahai became another drought demon because he killed him. Wang Dahai tried to attack Swen and dodge ignore. Wang Dahai started running towards Mr. Sun so that he could get a chance from Gao Qiang to attack Mr. Sun with all his strength and killed him. After killing him, suddenly a purple stone came out of this body as a crystal core that can provide super physique. Soon took the purple stone and said it now. This is his. Suddenly Wang Dahai tries to attack Soon from behind. Soon jumps into the air and avoids his attack, but Soon seized the opportunity and aimed it at Gao Qiang and his men. After that he went to his room, told them to just have fun. Gao Qiang was very angry after seeing this. He really frustrated, so he grabbed Wang Haoyu's neck, saying he was useless trash. After that he throwing Wang Haoyu towards Wang Dahai so that he could save himself. He asked his men to take it weapon and killed him. Meanwhile in Sasen's room he tried to eat a stone. The violet he took from the body of Paktun. He put the violet stone in the glass and added a little wine in it. Above all, in the midst of the apocalypse, sometimes crystal nuclei like this appear in the skulls of drought demons and beasts. This mutant core is very rare, there probably isn't one in the world. To eat this crystal he has to clean the core crystal well and then swallow it directly, only then can the body absorb the energy from the crystal nucleus. After that he swallowed it. As soon as he swallowed this his eyes started to glow red, his body started to burn like fire and his clothes were torn. To control his body temperature he took a block of ice from the storage and put it on Atara Diantihang hashed Wang Da, but because of this Mare's water ball was destroyed and this last air children catch him damn k. Music. Went to his place. The Gaoyang people asked him to quickly talk to him, warns him that if he tries to trick them he will die. Lena explains that Zhang is Sun's fiancé. If they attack him in front of Sun's door he will definitely open the door and then they can attacking him. The Gaoqiang people started laughing after hearing this, saying that they didn't believe there was a thing like this and this was indeed a good plan, but Shokian was really surprised seeing that his best friend could do this, but he didn't care. He said he could work with them. But he was hungry and they had to give him food first and he wanted to eat people's flesh. Gaoqiang was very surprised to hear this, saying that he couldn't ask for meat because the refrigerator's electricity was off, so the meat there was already stale. Gaoqiang, after seeing this, he asked Xian if he really wanted to eat meat. He gives her a knife and says it's up to her. Xian is shocked after asking Gaoqiang what he meant, but he didn't care. He took the knife from Gaoqiang. Dan's hand started approaching Lena. Lena, after seeing this, asked her what she wanted to do and what did she mean by ordering her to not approach her, because he thought they were sisters, shouldn't be able to do this, but they didn't. Kering said to don't lie to herself and asked if she was really her sister. Suggests that the AG's silence be passed if someone wants to blame him himself. After that he stabbed his stomach many times with a knife and killed Gayang and his men. Ben was shocked after Melat Inyelahan Alulwa Burke that he was full. He will come to see Min and Min's blood. Ma's men let go. Their meat needs to be eaten well in order to have enough to deal with. Arikahani was reminded by his son that if he didn't want to become a dry corpse, it was better to follow his orders. After hearing them, this long black-haired man asked the other man to find out where Duan was and bring him here temporarily. It was in Suchenin's room that he managed to consume the purple crystal. After consuming the purple crystal he got physical type ability, therefore heat resistance increases, muscles and strength also increases. However, suddenly he heard a knock on the door. As he looked through his CCTV camera he was really shocked. See Nonaden, yes, he came here to ask for help from Sun because everyone is crazy like Gok. Qiang below is no longer safe. This is his only hope, and he also still has Suan's influence. Opened the door and asked the two of them if everything was okay, but he became very embarrassed when he saw Su Chen come out shirtless, said he was a jerk. Su Chen immediately apologized, explaining that it was an accident. Duania asked permission to stay with him because the situation downstairs was very bad and he felt unsafe there, and said his resources were limited and they had just met, he couldn't just allow it. She stayed only because she was beautiful. Based on her life experience, Duan is a woman who has strong determination and he has a good cooperative relationship with Gaoqiang. Even though he is thinking about conquering Duan Ya, the atmosphere is so a little awkwardly now. The two of them explained that he was not only a cook but also the best graduate of Southwestern Medical University with a medical qualification certificate and 3 years experience as a surgeon, but he very surprised to see Cameron thought his room was very complete. Not the room but the ice and electricity making him confused. He wondered whether he had to show his abilities to be able to stay here. After hearing this, said that the fact he was a doctor was very tempting but resourceful, now rare and not necessarily they can survive until tomorrow. Surprised and said he would wear it later. He started to smile and said that because Duan had spoken, he could consider this place as his own home. Duan realized he spoke too hastily, but it was too late. Warning him, said his only option was fronting is to behave well, don't have any hidden intentions, otherwise he will throw her out. C2 after hearing this said he understood, he never doubted his methods and determination. After explaining, Inian asked to take off her clothes, became very surprised and started to feel embarrassed, asking if now is the time to start.